This is Scotty Morris of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, and you're listening to PBR Broadcast.
Hit it! Sophisticated
podcast, baby. Now tell me something good. Oh, yeah.
What's up, everybody? PBR Podcast. Mike Plano, Derek D. Unfortunately, Dennis the intern.
Dennis.
And sitting in the Speakeasy, we have a very, very special guest, Mr. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy himself, Scotty Morris. What's up, man?
How are you, man?
Hey.
Thank you so much for coming out.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Now, I said Mr. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy himself because I know it's a band, but I do know the backstory behind that. And that's one of the most amazing stories on how to get a band name ever. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, good one. Actually, and lucky, most of the things that happen in our career almost fall out of the sky, to be honest with you. I was about 17 years old, and I have a brother that's 3 or 4 years older than me, and he had his ID, obviously. And I heard that Albert Collins, who is a Texas blues guitar guy, and at the time I was trying to learn the blues on guitar, and just this guy was killing me, and I knew he was playing in Los Angeles, and I live 60 miles north of Los Angeles, so I made the trek in my VW Bug by myself.
Nice.
Went to go see the concert with my brother's fake ID, rocked it. I think I even was drinking like Yukon Jack. I'm not even sure. I went all in. Chips were all in on that one.
Yeah.
And Albert Collins just literally blew me away. I mean, it was one of those nights where he played this small little club, and he has this really long chord, and his forte was that he'd like walk into the crowd. All the old school blues dudes used to do that. They'd like walk into the crowd and rip
No separation.
and rip the guitar and whatever. And Buddy Guy still does it. And he walked out, and the guy was just killing me, man. I was loving it. And I grabbed the poster off the wall at the end, and I walked up and waited by his bus. And I said, man, Mr. Collins, when he's jumping on his bus at the end, can I get a signature? And he said, yeah, kid, what's your name? And I said, Scotty. And he wrote, to Scotty, the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, love Albert Collins. And I was like, oh, man.
That's amazing.
That's like
and just like that.
And just like that, I mean, you know, because you kind of know that, like, that was, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's badass, man. I love this. And then when I was putting this band together, you know, obviously a few years later, probably like 6-7 years later, I was putting Big Bad together. It was only probably about 4 years I started trying to put this band together, but it's hard, man. In the middle of the era of, you know, the late 80s, you know, I mean, Nirvana and grunge were like just kind of coming up, and that was kind of consuming everybody my age. And I had already gone through that because I came through the punk rock scene. And then, but you also had the aftermath of metal because I'm from Los Angeles, so we had metal, but it wasn't even metal. It was like Motley Crue, it was
like the
Rat and Winger and all this stuff. Yeah, exactly. And Guns N' Roses was kind of coming up, and Jane's Addiction and Red Hot Chili Peppers were bubbling, but it wasn't quite as big as it had got. And so, trying to put a swing band together at that time, you know, was kind of hard. And when I finally found one guy to do it, you know, he's like, well, what do you want to call it? Because, you know, he's thinking it's going to be some lame, like, you know, the Jump-O-Matics. And I'm like, Big Bad...
Swing Kings.
Yeah, exactly. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
No question.
He smiled. He goes, I'm in.
That's such an awesome name. Did you ever think, like, where did he just come up with that? Was that just random? Did you ever have a chance to ask him, or did he ever know?
Like, is there an origin of that?
Yeah. Or did he know later on, once you formed the band and were getting some success, did you ever see him again?
He died before it happened.
It happened.
He died about a year or so before it happened. And it's funny because I told the story on the Tonight Show, and afterwards I got a rush from his family. Like they just hit me up like crazy, and they were like, he would have been so happy to hear that story. He would have been so proud. And then one of the guys in my band, because you know, we've been together for 23 years. Actually, next
it's like
month,
a marriage.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all really close. So all the stuff that happens, you know, the under the breath stuff, they all say to me all the time. So I take a lot of crap from my guys because we're brothers. And one of the guys in the band goes, you know, he signed that to about 1,000 other kids.
Right. But no one's come out and said
no one ran with it.
I'm the one smart enough to capitalize on it.
You know, I was thinking that I was wondering if that was the case. Like, is there a bunch of other people that have signed that? But
you know, there is. I would have thought that somebody would have come to me in between then to actually get it to me, but no, I haven't. No one has said a word to me, so I'm just going to go. It was one of those magical moments.
Well, I think you fully own it at this point.
Totally.
So everybody knows Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and the swing, revitalization movement, if you will. But I want to go back a little bit before that, right? So you grew up in Ventura, or
I grew up specifically. I grew up in Oxnard in Ventura County.
And when I'm assuming, man, you don't have to say your age, but I'm assuming you're like my age. I'm like in my 40s. I'm 40.
I'm 50. I just turned 50 in February.
You're not in your
happy
40s. You're
birthday.
just 40.
I just turned 40.
What
But
are you-
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Scotty.
So when you're coming up and you're playing punk, you were talking about like all the rock and roll, the hair metal, and like really what that was doing on the Sunset Strip, and then eventually grunge destroyed that. And at that time, when that's going on, you're playing punk kind of in your later days of high school, early college years, I guess it would be, right?
Yeah, early high school. I played music since I was a baby. I've always played. I've always played, and like anything, when you're a little kid, if you do something and you get a positive reaction from it, then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. So I started when I was really little, and I would play in front of my family and my extended family, and I would get a reaction, and it was always a positive one. So I always did it. So from that point, it was jazz. I was really a big jazz fan, Louis Armstrong, that kind of stuff, because that was the only record collection that was in there, like the crappy pop of the late 70s or the early 70s or the late 60s was Louis Armstrong and that kind of stuff. Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, like that kind of stuff. But it was Louis that really got me, and then the Tom and Jerry cartoons and the Betty Boop and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I really gravitated towards that stuff. Like that was the stuff that I would go to. So I started playing jazz really early, and then when I realized there was no way to meet girls playing jazz when you're 15 years old, it became clear that I needed to get into a punk rock band.
Mom and dad supported. They dug. you
Supported, yeah. Not musicians though. Nobody in my family was a musician. No one plays.
playing? What'd they do?
Wow.
My mom and dad. My dad worked for the county. He was a data. Believe it or not, my dad was in the Korean War working on computers. So my dad always had a steady job. My mom was a nurse.
Okay.
Yeah, real simple, man. I come from a really simple, I'd say middle class, probably.
And not a musician in the lot, right? So
Not one in the lot. No,
it was in you.
it was in me. Yeah, my brother. I take that back. My brother can play "Keep on Loving You" by R.O. Speedwagon on the piano.
Oh, what else do you need?
One song. Not that he's a musician. He can just like keep on loving
But
you.
he can play. But he can play that.
He mastered that and he was done. He's like, music, done.
He owns that too, man. Trust me, he owns it.
I always find it so awesome that when someone who is very successful like yourself, especially when they start out as kids, because it's hard for a kid to get that, that one thing that they come up from school and they run and go do that. Like
Sure.
they get on the drums and they're just playing. Like, you can't get him off the set of drums,
Right.
Because he's so into it. And I
Right.
feel like that's what you were doing when you were younger, and it just stayed with you. And
Yeah.
you're right, you get that positive reaction. Like I
Right.
performed when I was younger, and I constantly did that, and I didn't realize I wanted to be a performer until way later on.
DerekD.com, everybody.
Yeah, newly refreshed, by the way. But
Derek loves Derek.
It's okay.
they love to bust my balls about it.
Well,
more.
it's true.
But that's you gotta love yourself before you can love anyone else.
That's
Mike.
true.
Yeah.
That's
You know that.
true.
Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all.
This is where it goes off the rails.
When you used to say that.
I'm with you.
But yeah, no, I was just making that point because it seems like anytime we have people on here that are very successful,
Yeah.
they always say, "When I was a kid, it's what I wanted," and it's
You know from an early
Yeah.
young age. And you also knew that you weren't going to get chicks playing jazz, so you started going, and punk was like the obvious. How did you go from jazz to punk in your own world? It was an easy transition, or something you loved?
Well, I was at the right time at the right place. I mean, I was in the right place, at the right time, as far as my age and
Yeah.
that whole thing is.
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
You were growing up there right when like the Zephyr team and skating started to hit the scene.
Yeah, it was right underneath my feet.
Pal Peralta,
Yep.
like the whole crew. Like, what
Our
was,
bass player worked for Pal Peralta.
What was that like?
sick.
It was insane. I mean, so when I was pretty young, I went and saw the movie. I can't remember what it was called. It was Endless Wave, I think it was called.
The Endless Summer.
No, it wasn't The Endless Summer, because that was the surf movie.
Yeah.
And Bruce Brown lives literally like, I don't know, 20 miles from me.
Yeah.
But it was the concrete one. It's when all the kids were skating.
The Zephyr team, right?
Yeah, it was the Zephyr guys, and it was in the Santa Monica when they were doing. Anyway,
Bowls and
it was
stuff.
it was the Stacy Peralta. It was the first movie they made a huge impact on, and they even came to Ventura and they recorded some of the stuff that we were doing in Ventura, and then we would go and to these surf spots or these skate spots, and we'd see these dudes,
Yeah.
and they were like legends to us, man. I mean, they really were. They were a different breed, man, and we were hardcore, man, because we surfed and we skated and at the time we skied. But then it turned into snowboarding. But
Yeah, later.
yeah, the trifecta in California when you're a kid and in your teens and whatever, the trifecta on your birthday is you get up in the morning and you surf Dawn Patrol. and then you head out
Bear
to the
Mountain.
then you go to Bear Mountain and you go snowboarding, and then you come home and you skate at the end of the day, and
awesome.
it's the trifecta, man. And so you'd see these guys out there, and they were a different level, and it was pretty intense.
Like Tony Alva was one of them.
Tony
right?
Alva,
Stacey
yeah.
Peralta,
Yeah.
like that whole crew, and which they all ended up breaking off into having huge careers on their own. Like Hal Peralta, you recognize that.
Absolutely.
But, so what was that like? I mean, because as odd as it may sound, man, growing up here on the Jersey Shore is a very direct correlation to where you grew up. You know, it's just the right coast and the left coast. You
Sure.
know what I mean? But we were feeling those same movements, but you grew up in it. So when I saw the first kid riding a skateboard down the street, it was like already, I don't know, mainstream, if you will. But what was it like to see it for the first time ever? Like you experienced that.
You felt like you were in something. You felt like you were in something that nobody else was in yet. You know, I mean, it felt like a secret society a little bit, and it was totally misunderstood. And you took grief for it too, because there was different cultures, and at that time, the cultures nobody mixed. So we had the Hispanic culture, and then we had the African American culture, and we had the Asian culture, and they were all within where I lived. And so there was a lot of tension going on, and they didn't understand what the surf kids or the skateboarders were doing. We were sort of the odd man out.
Not everybody was skating.
No, not everybody was skating.
It's funny that you say that. Like
If you bring up rollerblading, bro.
No. I mean, come on, that was kind of like a movement.
No,
but
stop.
But no, to be the first, like this is called skateboarding, and like they start doing that, and that whole movement. I mean, like now, what's like that now? You can't jump on a Segway or those
They
stupid
have those things, right?
hoverboards.
Hoverboards.
You know what it is?
Nothing is going to cause.
It's parkour. It's the parkour stuff.
Parkour, I guess. But
My kid,
yeah.
I have a 14-year-old son, and he's hardcore, and he does parkour stuff, and those kids are doing some.
That's like
It's pretty amazing.
It's
Yeah,
like urban
it's crazy.
gymnastics,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
ninja-ish.
Yeah, it's like the American Ninjas. That stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
The open what Bond, Dennis? What Bond was it? One of the new James Bond movies opens up with a scene where
Yeah,
That would be Casino Royale,
yeah,
sir.
that was
how sick was that? I mean,
killing.
that's essentially parkour,
That was killing. Yeah, that was one of the best opening scenes, man. That got me interested in it.
right?
Yep.
And it had oh man, what song is playing on that too? Like, there's a sick. I forget. It doesn't matter. It was a Soundgarden song. Or am I mixing up my two?
You might be mixing
Casino.
some stuff up.
Casino Royale, right?
That was the opening track. Chris Cornell
Yeah.
had the opening track on that.
Yeah, right on. See, 60%. 60% of everything I say is almost accurate. You know what I mean? It's the way things roll.
That's a better fact check than me, man.
So I guess the movement that you were experiencing, punk was just a natural fit auditorily.
Yeah,
Like,
with the music. It's funny because when the music that was being played, we got a skate park really early 70s, and we feel really lucky that we got a really good skate park. It was called the Endless Wave, and there's tons of movie footage of that place, and everybody used to come down and skate it. And the music that they were playing was pretty exclusive, man. It was Devo, it was the B-52s, it was the Buzzcocks, it was the Ramones, you know what I mean? It was the Sex Pistols, and I'm just a little kid, man, and I'm skating these things, and this is the music that's going on. So that's the early soundtrack to my life. I'm like 13, 14. I'm coming off a Kiss. You know what I mean? Like punk rock and new wave weaned me off of Kiss and that whole thing, and I was like, all right, this is my thing. That was the soundtrack for it.
You say coming off a Kiss. You know, when you take down the makeup, though, I mean, and even like I guess like you would call it, would you describe them as like a 3-chord band almost?
Yeah,
I mean, they still have.
They're a rock and roll band.
They still have they had something special, right? I mean,
sure. Yeah, I mean,
know what I mean?
the early stuff they did before they got, Gene Simmons is a smart businessman more than anything.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they're not any more 3-chord army as the Ramones are. I mean, I think they're just as important. How they affected you because they had a longer career in the limelight and they kept their career going because Gene's an incredible businessman.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame them for their hair 80s stuff, but I mean, for me, that Kiss up to Kiss Alive 2, I'm done. That was me. That was all me in a nutshell.
Peter Criss, man, right?
What's the?
Absolutely. I met Peter Criss.
How was he? Nice dude. He's local. He lives around here.
At the
Oh,
time,
that's the one I was gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, it was. We were doing Super Bowl, blah blah blah.
33.
33.
Whatever, yeah. And it was. They played, and it was when they all got back together, and he was walking down the way, and we were like, we got to meet him. So we met him, and he told us that he took lessons with Gene Krupa, and we were just like, oh God, and he knew of us, he knew the band, and so I mean, to us, and now it was like.
They're legends. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah, Peter Criss too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I air drummed to that drum solo a million times.
He kind of didn't he was replaced at one point for another drummer, didn't they must have broke up for a little while, took
Yeah.
the makeup off, and somebody else came in.
Yeah, they've had a lot of dudes.
There's live concert footage of the two drummers, Peter Criss and the other guy.
Was it
playing-
Eric Carr?
I don't know.
Because
We were
Eric Carr was the
playing
next
together.
guy. He was like the fox or something.
Sydney Lesperance,
Chang.
our fact checker, fact checked that one.
Yeah. So you hold on. You mentioned the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that was Falcons Broncos, I
Correct.
believe.
Correct.
And that was when Elway did the helicopter thing when he went for the touchdown. And that was to get to the Super Bowl. But that was like Elway's. That was the big one for Elway.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
because it was number 2.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did- he
Oh,
did-
there was that was the second one.
And
Okay.
we played the first one, and we did it was called the NFL Experience, I think, or the Extravaganza or something. And it's a big concert. And it was the year before, and that's where the people from the halftime show saw us really kind of do our thing. And at that time, it was just boiling. I mean, it was boiling. What we were doing was boiling, and it was resonating with everybody. I mean, our audience was 8 to 80, and I know that's a cliche, but it really was. It was amazing. And we played that, and then the Broncos saw us, and they said, if we win, we want you to play our victory party. And so we were like, hell yeah. And because the money was right for sure. And they won. And so we went and we played their victory party. And then the next year, we got hired to do the halftime show with the Super Bowl. And then they say, if we win, we want you to do the victory party
And
again.
they won again, right?
And they won again, yeah. So we got a double dose of it. And then they hire us to come out and play either the national anthem or play something to do in the halftime show, anything to do with it. Whenever they're doing like a big one, we kind of their good luck charm. And I think we might be like 6 or 7-0 every time they've hired us in to do.
Was there
something.
anything this year for this year's Super Bowl?
No,
No,
I was,
that's why
I
they
was,
lost.
I was
Oh, then they
shocked.
won.
I was
They won.
shocked that we didn't get called to do
Yeah.
anything. I was thinking like, come
Jeez,
on,
Peyton.
guys,
Come on,
it's good
Peyton.
to go. Yeah, it was Peyton. That's
Yeah.
And Elway's still there. But that's got to
Yeah.
be a trip.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl. Like I was just listening to Chris Coldplay lead singer talking about that, and
Sure.
he said it's such an experience. Like this.
Yeah, it is.
Not only the millions of gazillions are watching on TV, but like that atmosphere. That's the biggest game in the
energy.
world.
Do you want a Super Bowl story? You want me to give you
Yeah,
a ground up? Okay, so when you're in a band and you're playing and you're about to play the Super Bowl, the way up, right? So the way up, you go from playing in clubs and whatnot, and then all of a sudden your record starts to sell, and then it starts to sell a lot, and everything changes around you. You don't know how much money you're going to make because you don't really know, because at that point you're working so hard. We were doing 6 nights a week, months and months and months and months and months at a time. So everything gets to be a blur. Our manager calls us up. We're in New Orleans. We're playing the House of Blues, and he says, "You guys, we just got the Super Bowl." And I'm like, "Oh, we're going to play for the Broncos or whatever it is." He goes, "No, we're doing the halftime show." And I'm like, "What do you mean, like off camera?" And he's like, "No, we're doing it on camera." And he goes, "Stevie Wonder wants to play Sir Duke with you guys, so you'll open the show and do Sir Duke with Stevie Wonder." Jeez. And I'm like, "Get out of here." Okay, so flash backwards 20-something years. When I was 12 years old, I was in the junior high jazz band, and I complained to my band director, "The music we're playing here sucks. I hate it. All of it is terrible." And he said, "If you don't like the music, then you come up with something better." And I said, "No problem." So it took me about a month and a half, but I went home, and at the time, Songs in the Key of Life was the #1 record on the planet. It was the biggest thing. Sir Duke was the baddest jam ever. So I went there, pen to paper, and I wrote out a jazz band score to Sir Duke. Right? Yeah. Sir Duke. So flash forward how many years later, and we're doing Sir Duke with the night with Stevie Wonder. So I go, "Can I talk to somebody from Stevie's camp?" And they go, "Ask Stevie himself, man. You're going to meet him tomorrow." So I go in and we're hanging out, and it's like peers. Like at that moment, for 2 seconds in this world of my life, I was a peer with Stevie Wonder. I walk up to Stevie, we're talking, and he's telling me all kinds of amazing, positive things. And I said, "Stevie, I got to tell you a story." And I told him. He goes, "Get me the score and I'll sign it for you." Oh. In my studio is Stevie's autograph is a thumbprint. So he puts a thumbprint down.
Wow.
And I have a thumbprint on a score of Sir Duke from the Super Bowl.
That's
from Stevie
That's
Wonder.
an amazing story.
That's amazing story number 2 though, because you think about it, Albert Collins, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something's got to happen now. Maybe
Talk about full circle, man.
Is
That's like,
your
I wanted to involve Cindy Crawford though.
well? Hey, it's
all
not
I'm
over.
saying.
That story's not
Trifecta.
over.
No, I sat next to her on a plane like about a year ago, and I couldn't even breathe.
She's probably even more breathtaking in person.
She is, man.
you talk
I've seen
to
her. I've seen her twice. No, you couldn't really talk to her. I've seen her twice.
She knows who you are. She definitely knows who you
I
are.
don't know.
Come on.
No, she's married and has kids, but boy,
Even if you just played one of your,
She's a full stack of pancakes.
Of all the people I've met, though, honestly, she's the one. She's the one that like you when you see her, you just like, oh my
Yeah,
god, she's like a space alien.
You know what? Everybody on the planet with a penis feels exactly the
Yeah.
same way,
Yeah.
and half of the women.
And she's still a smokestack. Like like she's
100%, and she's the same age as I, so you know it's pretty amazing.
So, all right. So,
I look way better though.
two questions. The first thing I got is your music teacher still alive?
No, I went and tracked him down, and he had passed away. I did meet with him though, previous, but yeah,
He
had
doesn't
passed
know
away.
the Stevie Wonder tale.
He doesn't, man. Nah,
You were
God.
proven
That would've
right.
been cool, too.
Jeez.
Yeah, that would have been insane.
All right. So, I want to get back to this punk thing. So now,
Yep.
this skateboarding is happening all around you, and all this kick-ass music is coming and going. And so, how does that flow? Like, what made you say, I'm going to get off? I'm going to make my music heard here, or I want to be part of that?
It was the creativity, because ever since I was really small, I would take cassette players and I would hit play and I'd play my little drum kit. I'd put together like the biggest piece of crap drum kit.
Little
And-
Casio keyboard with the.
No, I had an actual old school
Oh,
drum kits. This
all
is
right.
pre that. We're talking polyphonic. We're talking 70s, my
right,
friend.
yeah, okay.
And so I would get in and I'd have a cassette player, boom, hit play, and I had the song in my head, and I would rock the song in my head. I'd play the part, and then I would take the cassette, put it on my stereo, play it back, and take my little guitar and play along with it. And then it was like ping pong. I'd bounce these tracks. So I was constantly trying to create multi-tracking ever since I can remember. So then
That's awesome.
when the punk rock thing came in, it was insane though, because nobody knew what they were doing, but everybody was making original music. So all those guys were all these creative kids that were trying to make music. I fit in perfectly, man. I mean, I would be recording certain guys for certain things. I'd be playing on their records, wasn't necessarily in the band, writing tunes for them. We'd write songs together. It was this whole thing. So for me,
community.
it was a great community. Oxnard had a killer punk rock creative community, and it's still going today. I mean, these guys all kind of reunited about 10, 15 years ago, and it's called Nardcore for those of you who are interested in. And the premier bands, sort of the premier bands of that era, where Aggression was the first one that came out and put out a great record, and then Dr. No, Ill Repute, Stalag 13, False Confession. And it was they were just such killer guys and killer music, and it was really creative, really, 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 really good. I'm still close with most of those guys.
Is this where you meet Kurt? Or
I met Kurt shortly after. Yeah, I met Kurt in the late 80s through a mutual friend of mine. She's like, you got to meet this guy, Kurt. You guys would hit it off perfectly.
that blows my mind, man. That I toyed around in bands like in high school and college. I mean, totally toyed around. Like, I had a bass and I pretended like I could pluck some strings.
Right.
But I do remember trying to record demos to try to play in some bars, and
Right.
like what went into that. And this is like, you're talking late to mid 90s, and you're doing this in the 70s with like cassette play in the 80s and 70s,
Yeah.
trying to record this and multi-tracking. I mean, could you imagine what you could have done with an iMac?
I think about that all the time.
Just what's on this table.
And I look at my daughter. I have a daughter. She writes music as well, and I'm always like, garage band? Are you kidding me? I mean, I have a full blown studio that I do recording
Pro
and
Tools
mixing,
and-
the whole 9 yards. Yeah, I've got more outboard esoteric gear than anyone should have, and I, that's like that's my playground. And I tell her, like, if you want to write music, you want to play music, I would have died for just like half of what GarageBand does.
Yeah.
When I got my first 4-track recorder, I swear to God, I was in heaven. I was doing
Game changer.
So it was game changer, man. So much.
It's like you can't believe it. Now I love the blues too. Like, I grew up listening to blues. My whole family's musicians. I'm not, which I should be. But the thing about swing, like you said, 8 to 80.
Yeah.
And your style, it's similar to blues, but it's all feel good music. Like it's never going to be not good to listen to. Like I was talking to Dennis about that before. It's always feel good music. Like, and that's what I loved about swing.
Well, it's American music.
Yeah.
What you
Born here.
can call it swing music. It's jazz. It's pop. It's whatever it is. But
I like the blues influence of it the most.
and that's that chord progression really is throughout all music. It's just changed. I mean, it's just changed. It's changed outfits. It's a little slicker now, but the 1-4-5 is fine and dandy with everything all the way up the ladder. Everything from, you name it, Chromeo, everybody's doing the same changes. It's just changed over. Things are different.
Yeah.
The music's different, but it's the same kind of premise. But yeah, I mean, it's American music.
There it is.
And there's not, I guess there's really not a lot of that, I mean, most all American music really
now
has deep
music
roots
is
from wherever, But
Yeah.
the beauty of it is, like, that is one style that you can call
Absolutely.
American.
All right, so you hear that music in the background. Why are you looking at me like that, Darren?
Because before we play this game, full disclosure, Mike won't say this because inside you're probably Mike's fanboying because Mike is a huge fan of yours.
I muted this mic. Like, come on, man. Like,
You got him.
you know?
Is he throwing you under the bus?
It's not throwing me under the bus, man. I dig your band. Like,
I do.
and
No, but
we'll
I'm
get to that
yeah.
later in the show. But I don't know
I was
why.
like, you got to mention that because I didn't think you were going to say it.
So it's the power, you know what I mean? Like the technology
Mikey,
we have today.
button.
Just hit a button.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys are always getting me, so come on, I gotta get him with that one. He acted all cool, but inside he's fanboying right now.
All right, so you hear that music. It's a segment in this in our podcast that we like to call top or bottom.
Okay.
I'm going to give you two terms. You're going to tell me if these two things were in a relationship, which one would be on the top and which one would be on the bottom. We're going to round table it. It's tailored to you, so we're going to start with you.
Okay.
You ready to play?
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully, I understand the rules.
Well,
That's pretty
you'll get it. Top or bottom, number one, CDs or digital music?
I'm going to say digital music now is top, and CDs are bottom, just because the way things are set up now, I don't have the room for CD stuff anymore.
What about like quality of audio, the quality of the sound? I
Oh,
was
we
gonna say-
can't even get into that. I mean, you're talking to an audio guy right here. You know, I mean, like the saddest day of my life is when I'm mixing a record in 96-24. I'm sorry that I'm being a dork right now about that, but
No, it's good,
that's
man.
the highest quality of what you're going to hear at this point. And then you mix it down to 44-16, and it just goes from gigantic. It goes from a Bugatti to a VW Bug.
I was going to put for that. I was going to change CD to vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl for me all the way. I love vinyl. I'm all
Now
vinyl.
is vinyl that I don't really know the numbers or anything. Is vinyl that number you gave, that first number? Is that pretty much?
Well,
up
it's
there?
just a warmer
Yeah.
creature, and you can get deeper with frequencies when you burn it onto the wax, as long as you don't put too much information on there. Yep, that's specific, but yeah, I'm vinyl all the way.
Dennis.
I'm going to go with digital music over CDs. Just for, I don't have a lot of space. So I figure if I could have...
Just for a spatial thing.
Just for spatial thing.
Yeah, we're not talking quality, because there's no comparison.
No.
None for me.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it's cool though to actually hold a CD and look through it, or
Yeah,
a
man.
record or something. But I would still put digital on top because digital sounds. I mean, right. Digital now is like, I guess the equivalent of maybe like 4K. You can get that high level.
I don't
and
think-
not put
I
it
don't-
on a CD.
I think people will disagree, right? I think people feel like that the vinyl...
CDs are higher quality?
No, like vinyl is what you want. You want to hear that air
And that
about it. And
a
I
little
think
bit of a pop
digital
that's
sounds
with it.
flat.
It's got a high frequency, a piercing high frequency that bugs me. It kind of, technically there's this high frequency that happens. I don't want to be too geeky, but it kind of takes away from the warmth in the bottom end.
There was nothing better though when going to buy a tape or a CD, and I would sit down and put it in. I remember you're gonna hate me for this because you already touched upon it, hating them, but not hating. But my first tape I bought was Winger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't hate that stuff. I just
only 17.
right? I dug it, and he actually was. He was involved with Kiss somehow. I think he was like the backup bass player or something.
Was he really?
Yeah. Kurt was his name Kurt Winger?
No, Kip.
Kip Winger.
How could you not remember
Kip
the name?
Winger.
Kip Winger.
Yeah.
My goodness.
But I remember buying that and like reading from top to bottom,
Sure.
and the album art that they used to have.
The first, just not to get, but the first tape I ever bought was In Living Color.
Really?
Great band, yeah.
Yeah.
Vernon Reid.
Yeah.
Vernon Reid
Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
Corey
is
Glover.
amazing.
I love that band. I bought everything they had. I've seen them live.
That was a serious band. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they still are together, to be honest with you. But that was a serious band. I mean, when they came out, I really dug them because they were musicians.
And that one song they had was very different than the rest. Like the poppy song, the Glamour Boys,
Glamour Boys,
where they
yeah.
already. That was not like the rest of their albums.
Cult of Personality.
Cult of Personality
one of
was
the
like-
greatest songs
That's
of
a
all time.
killer. Yeah,
Melt
that's
your
a
face, yeah.
Killer.
Is Vernon one of the sickest guitar players
He
of
still,
his generation?
he still is. Yeah, he still is. He's still
Gotta
super.
be.
He's super avant-garde, man. He's doing his own thing.
Top or bottom, number 2, the punk scene or the swing revival?
The punk scene for me. Yeah, that was
I-
a kid, and it
Yeah.
just ate me up.
I mean, think about all the people that you were looking up to in the punk scene and all those names you talked about. And then on the flip side of it, when you led or spearheaded the swing revival, how many people, were looked up to you in that sense? You know what I mean? Coming up.
You know what's really interesting is that the punk rock scene and the swing scene in the early days,
Same people.
it was the same
Yeah.
people.
Brian
yeah,
Setzer.
Exactly. It was the same people. Yeah, it's funny because in the punk scene, like I'll equate it for me, like the high mark of the punk scene for me was Henry Rollins. Like that, when I saw Black Flag play with Henry Rollins early on, it was mind blowing. Bad Brains was another one of those bands. It was just mind blowing. And then in the swing scene, for me, it was Brian Setzer.
Yeah.
Like he was the high mark for me. He still is. I still really, really love Brian Setzer's guitar playing.
He was awesome. Stray Cat. How can you not love Stray Cats?
Yeah.
I'm still the Stray Cats. The big band is cool, and it is what it is. But for me, it's the Stray Cats. The Stray Cats.
Yeah.
Brian Setzer and the Stray
Three-piece.
Cats. His guitar playing. Oh my God! His songwriting is so.
There's something I always say about when you listen to a 3-piece band and they fill the room. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not
Yeah.
easy to
It's
do.
not easy.
No.
I'm Swing Revival. That was my punk scene
Yeah.
when I was coming up.
Fair enough.
So that was like my counterculture, my
Sure.
that was me.
I would have to agree. The punk scene, I mean, I just remember from what I've listened to and know, but it'd have to go swing first and then a punk on bottom. But you said Henry Rollins, the venue you're playing tonight,
He opened it.
He opened it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Did he do spoken word?
He
It's
did,
spoken
man.
word,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw it. He did 3 hours of spoken word,
Yeah.
and he didn't stop to take a sip of water. He spoke for
On
3 hours,
purpose,
man.
yeah.
Like he's amazing.
He used to have this. He had this book on tape called. I think it was called On the Road. It was his first book. Or I think it was one of his first books, and we used to have it in our early tour days, and we'd have it, and I'd put it in the van, because it was cassette days, and we would tour all over the country. We'd go up and back in a van, playing night after night with Big Bad, and we would put his tape in, and we'd listen to it, and then I'd pause it, and then if the band had like a disagreement, we had a game called What Would Henry Say? And as soon as Henry would answer, we would say, okay, what would Henry say? And then you put it on, and within like maybe a minute, he would answer your question every single time. And then you just turn it off, man. Hey, what would Henry
We got to
say?
steal that idea, man. Can we borrow that?
Take it.
That's a new game.
Dennis, write that down.
Write it down.
He's right there. I don't know why I yelled for him. I got to say, Swing on Top completely, man. I'm not like him, man. That was our wheelhouse when we were in college when Swingers hit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that movie, for whatever reason, attached itself to our generation.
It's called Classic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little older, but-
I mean, and that's the first time we were introduced to your band, you know.
Right, yeah.
And then after that, as Derek was saying before, like I saw you 100 times in AC. We went to Stockton down in Atlantic City, so saw you at all those casinos. I saw you at the 10 spot in Philly. BB King's in New York City.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see you tonight at the House of Blues. So that was my
Independence.
House Independence.
60%.
60%. See what I'm saying?
House of
Yeah.
Independent.
got it wrong.
So like that clearly on top. Although I completely respect and love what came out of that punk scene too. I was in San Diego, living in San Diego when Green Day hit,
Yep.
and I remember going to like see these punk bands play, and I was just floored by that. And I don't know if I understood it then.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when Green Day used to tour around in a bookmobile. Yeah. Do you know what a bookmobile is?
Yeah,
They bought one of those things, and
Wait,
they used to tour around in a bookmobile.
A bookmobile used to pull up to your school, and it had books, and you would buy books.
They
and
bought,
you'd fill out the,
they bought a broken down bookmobile, fixed it up, and toured the country in that thing. It was insane. And then it would come in and destroy punk clubs. I mean, there was one.
What's more
that's
punk
one of
rock
the,
than a bookmobile?
But it's funny because they were more like the earlier stuff, because they weren't like hardcore thrash. They were so melodic, and they had such good songs that I recognized those guys pretty clearly early on that they were going to be great. And then we played with them a bunch during the late '90s during those music festivals, and they destroyed everybody.
You did Warped Tour, right?
We never did Warped
You
Tour.
never did
We did all the other ones though, but we didn't do Warped. No, because I didn't want to do Warped, because at that time we were making more money than Warped was ready to offer us.
Yeah.
So I just didn't want to. There's a lot of guys in our band, so
Yeah, it makes
got to
sense.
get paid.
11.
There's 9 on stage, and then we travel with 12 and 13 with
So-
crew and whatnot.
You graduate from the bookmobile, the VW bus, or the van that you're traveling in to a tour bus. What's the first rule about the tour bus?
You can't go number 2 in the tour bus.
Everybody who tour buses, I asked that question too, but yeah.
And if you do, it's called the bag of shame.
Top or bottom, number 3, singing or songwriting?
Songwriting.
Do you write all the songs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Musically and lyrically, or is that a...
Musically and lyrically, yeah. Mm. And then Josh Levy, our pianist, he arranges it and makes it sound better.
Hey man, you got to have that relationship.
No, he's my partner in crime. I mean, when he and I discovered that we could work together, simpatico, changed my life completely. Yeah, just changed me completely. I mean, I always needed somebody like him. I needed somebody that could do what he does, and he he fills that other part, the stuff that I can't do because I technically don't know how to do it. My brain doesn't work that way. I could do it, and it takes me so long. He does it so intuitively.
It's a gift.
So it's a gift. Yeah, and it's funny because early on we had these mentors that were helping us with our records when the major labels were around and there was a lot of money, and they'd say, "What you and Josh have is special," and I'd just be like, "Yeah, it's special." Right. But I'm saying that he and then now as we gotten older, I mean, we're working on a record right now, and it's just like he and I say one thing and he's done. He's off making it 1,000 times better.
I'm singing. I just
Singing,
Because you can't write songs.
'Cause I can't write
But
songs.
I gotta be honest with you. I've heard you sing. That's
Not even that
that's
either?
not it either, man.
I guess I could equate songwriting to like writing comedy or something like that. But I guess I would say songwriting because that's where like the emotion and everything comes out. Put it down on paper and then you go perform it. So I guess.
So you like creating it more than performing it?
Well, in this songwriting,
yeah.
probably, yeah. But if it's related to comedy wise, I guess I would say singing on top. But I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh God! If Rob Coring were
Maybe
in the room
singing
right
on top. I don't know.
now. Ants on the ceiling.
I like both on top, Mike.
Man, I'm terrible at singing. Although, if you were to ask the PBR posse, the people that listen to this show, we've actually polled them. Who's a better singer, Derek or I? Because we've done some karaoke for them. They say. I mean, I don't remember the percentages. Anybody? Dennis? Dennis!
60%.
Frankie, do you remember?
60%.
60%.
I think it was that. We'll go with that. 60% of the people preferred me singing over you.
Zero chance.
But
whatever.
I'm sure you can hear him sing on DerekD.com. Everybody, check it out. So I'll go singing on top. Number 4. Let me see.
Dick.
I'm gonna go with this one, top or bottom. Performing at the Super Bowl or performing for the president. You played for a few, or the same president twice, or
Yeah, no, I think we've done 3. I'm going to say Super Bowl. Yeah.
yeah, better. Where'd you play for the president?
Yeah, Super Bowl's more fun. I'm going to say more fun. Yeah.
Where did you play for the president? At the White House?
Yeah, no, not the White House. We played at some huge, we did benefits. Like we did one. It's another thing. I can't remember where it was. It was like the big dinner, some kind of a dinner thing, and there were thousands of people there. And then we get up and play for like 30 minutes, and it's funny. We played for the vice president too. We played for Gore, I think it was. Yeah, we did a thing.
He seems like a party.
Did he even move?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, he even snapped.
Exactly. What the best part
He
of that
tapped
was
his foot.
we were locked away in a room with the Secret Service the entire day. Once they do the bomb everything, you're stuck with these guys. And these dudes were insane. They were such cool dudes. And to this day, we're still friends. Like when we're close
right
to a lot of them are in Newark, and because their FBI is out in Newark or whatever.
So they're listening to Big Bad Voodoo Daddy in those earpieces?
Yeah, exactly.
Since I've done neither, I'm going to go with I bet performing at the Super Bowl would be the better one. And since you're the only person I have in this ever met that's ever done it, I'm going to take your word
I think it
for
depends who you get to play with at the Super Bowl, because we got to do it with Stevie Wonder, so that was, that's like
So if I ever play the Super Bowl,
do it with Stevie.
do it with Stevie.
Yeah.
His Stevie Wonder.
Done.
You got to go Super Bowl on top and president. I mean, the president, that's like an honor. But you got to think anything that the president's at is probably a little more reserved. Not like Super Bowl's like
Right.
it's probably wild, huge party. You're just having a
Right.
blast. So Super Bowl on top.
I'll go with Super Bowl as well. I mean, the NFL stole a day from God, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we got to go with them. Let me ask you this question though. Donald Trump sometimes comes on our show. He wins the presidency. Donald, say hi to Scotty.
Let me tell you something, Scotty. Huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy Babs.
Would you play for Donald?
Have.
You played. You played for Donald. You don't remember him?
He's played for me multiple times. I tell you, this guy is huge. This band is fantastic. They build a wall of music into your ears. It's
We played for
fantastic.
you many times, Donald.
Yeah. How do you not remember Don?
I did not say I didn't remember. I said they were fantastic. Okay, Mike. You know what? You're out of this country. What's up?
I'm fired.
Okay.
I'm fired. You can put me in the wall. You can,
Firing you from the country.
maybe you can have Big Bad Voodoo Daddy play while you're having the wall built.
It was years ago. I'm gonna say that it was years ago. It was when we did the ESPYs. The second time we did the ESPYs, probably 98, 99. Donna was there, and we met him, and we were doing his birthday party right shortly afterwards. And there was a party after the ESPYs, and it was at the Four Seasons in New York or something. I can't
Four
remember what it was. Yeah, the Four Seasons.
It was, 100%.
And he was there.
Trump.
And we walked in. He goes, "There's my boys. You guys are playing for my party." And we played his party. He came in a helicopter. He showed his face for like 2 seconds
At
to
his own party.
to high rollers, yeah, and then bailed.
Oh,
You know.
I was going to ask what kind of a swing dancer he is.
Yeah, he's
I'm a great swing dancer.
Is he
I'm right here.
tossing
Ask away.
That's right. He's tossing Melania around.
Almost blew my my hair right. My hair right off.
So if Mr. Sanders, I know you're always in Donald Trump's pocket. If you happen to win, are you gonna have Big Bad Voodoo Daddy play for you?
I would love if Big Bad Voodoo Daddies would play for me.
Plural.
It's I'm a father. Okay, and we're gonna have them play.
Not plural. You play for me. Big Bad Voodoo Daddies.
They're gonna
apostrophe
play.
yes. That's apostrophe.
Yeah, that's what it. Michael. Okay, listen. They're gonna play.
It's terrible.
when I win.
You got to work on that one. He may be president. What are you gonna do, Derek?
Wait, me or Bernie?
You, Derek.
What am I gonna do?
I don't know. And then you have to throw it.
Wow, was Bernie that bad? I guess it's all right.
You're getting better. You're getting better.
Okay.
You got to always throw this in for some reason. We are from New Jersey, Asbury Park area, right? You got to throw in Bruce Springsteen, and he has one line he could do,
Well, down on the Jersey Shore.
and that's not even that good.
No, it is. That's pretty good.
Your impressions are off
you
today.
can't go wrong with that though.
Yeah.
Are they off today?
Nah, you're not.
Well, down on the Jersey Shore.
It's not bad.
It's breathing.
I feel like I need to warm you up, though. I feel like when I come in at Trump, I gotta bring in at Arnold.
He came hard with Trump.
He was
though.
good. He's
came
got a
in
good
hard
Trump.
with Trump.
yeah.
No warm up, just boom.
Yeah, it went right in.
He normally starts with Donald. Usually starts out by calling me an idiot. He didn't do it this time. I appreciate that, Don.
Like, you're an idiot.
I appreciate it. Man, so top or bottom, you win. I don't know if you know, we're keeping score, and you won.
Yeah, you won.
It's amazing.
Fair enough.
It's amazing how every guest always wins.
Every single time.
So you meet Kurt. You're down on the punk scene. You're out in L.A. Where does it? Let's now bring it to Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. How does that transition work from the punk game to the swing revival?
I went to music school in Los Angeles, and I met Kurt as I was graduating from music school. And at that time, I started picking up gigs, doing TV commercials, and I went on the road with a country artist. And I think I was out for about 3 months with this country artist, and I just was sick of it. It was like the business was in the late 80s, early 90s. It was they were just treating you like crap if you weren't the artist. And at that point, I'd never been not the artist. Like I've always been my own person, and I was using my talent or whatever it was that I use for other people, and I didn't dig it. So I thought, okay, I saved up a bunch of money, and I thought my brother said, hey, let's come back home and let's start a surf shop, skate shop, snowboard shop, and just chill, write some music or do whatever you want to do.
Did you call it the trifecta?
Yeah, that was we should have, but it was existing. So it was called Anacapa Surf and Sport, and we opened it. I went there, and all I did was play guitar all day. Everybody who remembers me in that era was like, "Dude, all you were doing was playing your guitar all day, all the time." And it's what I was doing. And I was writing music. I decided to take like a year off of the music scene in Los Angeles, and at that time I had just met Kurt, and I was writing these tunes in the surf shop, and just decided like, hey, let's get a jam together. I've got a rehearsal spot. Let's get together and play. And we played, and we decided that right then and there, let's do this. Let's do something.
Yeah.
And we were a 3-piece in 91 we started, and it was a 3-piece until 93. And that's when I turned it into the first original 5-piece that went to 6-piece, went to 7-piece, then went to 9-piece.
And you were playing exclusively punk there, or is rockabilly swing?
No,
what were you playing?
Because of that time, I had such a wide eclectic sense of music because I was doing so much studio work and playing for other people. My thing at that point was really, I think my ad for a bass player was if Count Basie, Tom Waits, and Jimi Hendrix were on acid in a jacuzzi drinking like mudslides, what would it sound like? Us. Inquire within, and that's where we were kind of doing this like
That's what you wrote. That was
the ad, yeah, that
that's
I wrote.
amazing. Like that right there is an attention getter.
Well, I'm trying to weed out the guys that want to play Rush.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with Rush. Like we were trying to be a 3-piece, and we wanted to do something unique and different, and sort of like we trying to carve our own way.
So what did you get a stand-up bassist from that ad? Or
At that point, we didn't. No, we got another guy who was a great singer, great bass player, and he was killing. He could do all the things we wanted to, but it wasn't in the cards for him, man. He didn't have the heart to play music. You gotta be able to take it on the chin a lot. And then we met Dirk, and And from that point, when I met Dirk, we were like, okay, this guy's great. He has a super great attitude. He's a really good player. He's really friendly, really open to everything. And that's how it that's the seed was the three of us. And then it was the horn section was just one phone call away.
Let me ask you something. You have a very like radio awesome voice, but like you have to sing. I mean, how many? I'm not sure how many shows you're doing a week now.
Yeah.
But I know you said before you said 6 shows a week. Like, do you find yourself like just taking a day off, literally, of talking to preserve
No.
your voice, or
I can't. No.
You just know how to exactly use your diaphragm when you're singing to make sure you do not.
Tonight will be 8 out of 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've had one day off, and that one day was driving like 9 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So there's not,
So what do you do? What do you,
I was trained right when we started to hit it hard. I was losing my voice left and right. As a matter of fact, on the Conan, on the first time we did Conan in '98, my voice was so bad that before that the label flew out and they were like everyone was panicking because my voice was gone, and they shot a cortisone shot in my throat.
What?
Yeah.
Did it work?
Yeah, no, it did not work, and it was terrible. And then I finally
Did it hurt?
It hurt a lot, yeah, and it sucked, and I never wanted that to happen again. So when I came back, luckily enough, I was friends with an opera singer who had studied, like a real opera singer, and I'd studied with her, and she taught me how to breathe, and she taught me how to sing. And there's so much more to singing than just bumblebee, bumblebee, bumblebee. There's breathing techniques that she showed me that she learned from Vienna. She was a soprano in Vienna, singing at the Vienna Opera with Bernstein, and she taught me things that, I mean, I use. Sometimes I don't even have to warm up at all. She teaches me breathing things that are in the back of my back that I can breathe that way all day long. And when I get on the mic stand, when I get to the bandstand, I'm good to go. I have no problems.
and do you drink or anything? Or?
I don't drink. No.
That's pretty crazy, man. A kid from
I don't drink when I'm on the road. I drink when I'm at home.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
A kid from Ventura, skater, surfer, snowboarder, punk, not only had the love and talent, but you like put the work in. You know what I mean? Like you did your due diligence and really trained yourself.
Yeah, 'cause
like any athlete would.
I love doing it. That's the thing. Is like anything. If you love something that you love to do, you don't want them to take that away, because I know there are millions of people that are underneath me, above me, around me, near me. They're ready to take my spot any second, and I don't want to give that spot up. I'm not ready to give it up yet.
Right.
I'm still ready to work hard.
That's a great way to look at it.
It is, man,
That's
right?
the way you have to look at it.
There's always somebody hungry like you were coming up behind you. I
I'm
mean,
still hungry though.
Yeah.
Like you got to out hungry me. I'm like the guy. I'm like Rocky or something. I'm ready to go, man. You can hit me as much as you want, but I'm not going down. I'm not going to tap.
So when you were playing like at the Derby, and you're playing at all the spots out in LA, what was the music in the other bars around you? Was it starting to pop off? Like were swing bands starting to?
Things were changing. Yeah, things were starting to change at that point. Yeah, and it was great because the Derby was when we started. The Derby was only Wednesday. Swing was only on Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday.
Can you describe the Derby for a lot of people might not know exactly what it is?
The Derby was a club that was built in like 1920 something or other, and it was a Cecil B. DeMille, and it was part of the Brown Derby restaurant chain. And the Brown Derby, the one that we played, was actually a drive-through. And it's actually the drive-through that you see in the beginning of Happy Days. Am I dating myself?
No.
So the soccer. Yeah,
awesome.
that was the actual one. But it's a dome, and he had these Brown Derby hats. And he made these restaurants out of these Brown Derby hats, and he basically made it exclusive for stars, and that's where the stars could go and not have to deal with paparazzi and whatnot, or seen and be seen. You know what I mean? So it was one of those places. So then, come the late 80s and early 90s, somebody else bought it, turned it into something else, and then somebody had that great idea to open it up to bands, and then swing came up within that place because it was the right place for it. It looked beautiful. It had booths. It had good food. It had a great bar. It had an ambience. I mean, you saw it in Swingers, but you saw that was a Wednesday night. That's what Wednesday
that's
night
real,
looked
right?
like.
That's real.
That was 100% real.
You guys were already playing there for some time before
Yeah.
John Favreau walks in and Favre.
Favreau?
You
John
pronounce the V?
Favreau.
Favreau?
Yeah, John Favreau. Yeah.
Favre.
Favre. So before he walks in, you were there for a long time, and so he really just kind of captured.
He
Like,
did.
how did that whole thing come down? Like he just fell upon a movement.
He was in Los Angeles, and he's this young, smart, super hip guy. Like, he's a really smart guy. John is a very, very, very smart guy, and he was writing things. He was acting, and you know what, man? And if you can't find a place for yourself in Hollywood, make one. If you're smart, make one. So that's what he did. Him and Vince and a pocket of dudes were friends, and he started to kind of sniff around what was good and what wasn't good. And he could tell that the swing thing was something was going on. There was a few bands that were something was going on, and he came and saw us, and he loved it. And then he ended up learning how to dance via my girlfriend, and he and I became really good friends, and I didn't know he was an actor. I didn't even, at that time there was no Google. It was none of that. So so basically he just was this guy that was coming out. He'd dance with my girlfriend. We'd hang out and drink, have fun. And then one day he came to me and said, "Hey, I got a script. I want you guys to perform in my movie. Would you read it?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I threw it in my truck, and off we bailed, and we were on tour. Like, at that time, we were playing everywhere and anywhere, so I didn't even look at it.
You were still on the West Coast, though, right?
Yeah, we were on the West Coast, exactly. We would go as far as San Diego, and we'd go up to San Francisco, we'd go up to Seattle, Oregon, every Monday. We'd start our week on Wednesday, and then we'd play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, travel home on Tuesday, and then start again on Wednesday. We just go the other way. Wow. And that was our circuit. And then Favreau comes to me, he's like, "Did you read the script?" And I did not read the script, and I said, "Dude, that is a great script. We're in. When do we shoot?" Swear to God, that's a true story, man. I still have the script. The script is in my front drawer in my front room.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
We're in.
Did your girlfriend in the movie? She dancing?
Mm-hmm. She is, yeah.
That's great,
Yeah.
man. She's not Nikki, is she?
Nah.
Right. Remember Nikki?
Nikki.
Nikki's the girl that he
left,
contemplates calling.
Yeah.
Oh,
over and over.
yeah.
Or no, he does call her.
He does
Leaves
call
her
her all the
37
time,
messages.
all the different
Yeah.
messages.
Oh, Nate, hi.
Yeah.
You're home.
The last one, I wasn't sure if I got there because it cut off before, and then he like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that movie have the impact? It sounds dumb asking you this because it really was one of the catalysts to your global expansion. But did it have the impact on you as it did everybody else watching it?
You know what? I've seen that movie one time.
One time?
I've seen it once. Yeah, I saw it we did a premiere, and John did a premiere, and he rented out on Fairfax, I believe it was. He rented out the $2 theater, and they had everybody come, like all the studios come. That was their big premiere to try to sell it. And it was on a Wednesday night, so we all went down. I believe it was a Wednesday night, and we all went down and had to pay $2. And
They made you pay to
paid
come
to-
to your own premiere.
it was a $2 night. Yeah, that's how high budget this thing was.
I'm in this. I have to pay to. Oh, okay. Here you go.
We don't care.
I didn't even know how in this we were because you just didn't know, And we're watching the movie, and I'm watching it, and then afterwards we were playing it at the Derby, so we all kind of watched it, and then we all bailed and went to the Derby, and we just played our normal set. And the way it worked out was we watched it, and I thought, this is pretty good. This is way better than I thought it was going to be, because it really was super guerrilla. And I was there for a lot of it because at that point, John and I were pretty good friends. And then we played the Derby, and John came really late because I guess he met with a lot of people beforehand. And in the morning, God, I wish I had saved this. God, I wish I'd saved this on my answering machine with the cassette. John calls me really early in the morning, and he said, "Scotty, your life is going to change. Miramax bought Swingers for $4 million. All of our life is going to change. See you tonight."
That's such a great phone call.
And I'm
Great
like,
call.
I got chills. I was like, really? From that? I mean, I just thought we were going to be bypassed because, to be honest with you, I did not realize how much impact our scene on that thing, on the film, was going to impact people. And so there it was. And
it changed America.
Yeah, it did.
You know what I mean? Like, what does
That's
that feel like to be a
crazy.
part of that?
Yeah, it was to be in it. It was amazing. I won't lie, it was amazing, and yeah, it was incredible, man. It was
Before
beyond.
I saw Swingers, I was one type of person. Then that movie and your music made me a much better, different person.
Yeah, that's
Still a terrible person,
Terrible.
but nonetheless a better terrible
But better,
person.
terrible person.
right.
Right? And I guess the rest. I mean, the rest is
awesome.
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and Storied, right? I mean, like you guys go from once that
maintain, yeah.
once that movie hits, you
Yeah.
haven't stopped traveling yet. Doing Super Bowls, presidential election. I mean, you're doing everything.
Dude, they're playing the election.
do you do a?
You could probably run for president at this point. Right now, you could definitely run for
I could
president and
run.
probably win.
I absolutely don't want that job.
What do we got? We got an elephant, we got a donkey, and a wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Voting for the wolf.
Are you? Do you play at all in the UK?
Yep, we do. Uh-huh.
Are you going out there in the?
Not anytime soon because financially it's so expensive to do.
We have a
It-
big fan base out there. That's why I was asking. 'cause
Excellent.
They would definitely come out and see you.
Yeah.
I just got a. We used to play this place in Camden, and
Camden, New Jersey?
No, Camden
sorry.
in England.
Oh, never mind.
And it's called the Jazz Cafe, and it's a great place, and we did it for years, and we'd go in there, and it was amazing because it was like the early swing days. We just go in there and just destroy, and we were never like a swing dance band so much. Like at the Derby we were, but we were always really high energy. You've seen us. We're really. It's always been really high energy, and some fan the other night told me that she has an interview of Amy Winehouse saying that she came and saw us play at the Jazz Cafe in Camden, and that was one of the groundbreakers for her to
that's
to
awesome,
feel
man.
comfortable with like
These are
going to
awesome
that
stories.
next level. And I'm just going, oh my God, man! She was. I mean, that was a sad one, man, because she was on the tip of something huge.
That's often the case, though, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And it was 27, right? She was 27.
Yeah, she was
Jim
so
Morrison
young.
was 27.
Before
the-
30, yeah, before 30.
Jimi Hendrix
Hendrix,
was 27.
Janis Joplin.
It's that.
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, it's
Was
crazy.
he also 27?
He was right in that wheelhouse.
Oh, that's so sad.
I mean, Sidney L'Esperance, our
Cha-ching.
fact checker, checked that one out, but he was right in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Mr. Pinstripe Suit, real person?
It is. Yeah, very first time we came to New York, his name was Rod. And we came to New York and we were doing something for Ticketmaster. They had us come out for this event, and we were doing 3 events. One in Detroit, one in New York, and one in LA. And we flew out and this was I had said to myself that if I'm not doing this music thing by the time I'm 30, if it's not happening by the time I'm 30, I'm gonna try and find another avenue. I'll maybe a music engineer, maybe just go to songwriting, publishing, whatever. And on my 30th birthday, we were flying to New York to play this private party for Ticketmaster, and I knew that that was a sign that things were good. And I had put the word out to people out in New York. We're a swing band. We want to go out and see what's going on in the New York swing. And I met this dude named Rod, and he was Mr. Pinstripe Suit. Like every bit of that song was this guy, man. He was so great. He took me to all the coolest places in the Bowery, and we went to all these little hole in the walls where Sinatra would go, and then he'd hit the jukebox, and everything was dancing, and girls were in there. We'd just go dancing with girls, and these girls didn't look like they knew how to swing dance, and they knew how to swing dance.
Yeah.
It was insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When at your shows, I always described it as because the energy is amazing, right? Whether you swing or not.
Sure.
One of my favorite parts is when you essentially jam, and I refer to it as the horn orgy. How it just builds until, and the way I recall it, one of the last times I saw you guys, like they start coming out into the crowd.
They will, yeah.
And they're just playing, man. And when you get horns and you're up close and personal, and all the other instruments just kind of, you're jamming at that point, right?
It's wide open. Yep, it's called Free,
and you feel it. You could feel like the connection, and that's amazing. You don't get that when you go see every kind of act. You know what I mean?
That's kind of our premise is that where are you going to go see a 5-piece horn section band? You know what I mean? It's like, where are you going to see that? There's only a few avenues where you're going to see that. With maybe Tower Power is the only other one that I can think of.
Tower Power's great.
It's great, but the thing is that we've been together now almost 23 years, so we breathe, we move together. The way the band plays in and out of time, in and out of tune, whatever it is, man, it is like you can't get that anywhere.
You're in the
else.
pocket, as they say.
It's a whole unique experience.
I'm getting married in April next year, and I was booking the bands, and I had to get I got a horn section, and
Nice.
he's like, "You got to tell me what songs you want to play." I said, "Well, do you know Big Bad Voodoo Daddy? Because you're gonna have to learn all of their music." You know what I mean? Like, so I made them. They're gonna do a
Good
bunch
for
of
you.
swing.
For like
Oh,
2
that's
seconds.
awesome.
For like 2 seconds, I thought you were going to ask them to play it.
Oh, well, come on. Yeah, hey, listen, if you want, you have your people call my people. We can make that work. Do you have time for a quick game before we get out of here?
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to do this one?
Sure.
We have not played this one in a long time. The fans love it. It's called What's in the Box? All right, so the way What's in the Box is played, you see this. Frankie, our producer, put this box down in front of me, and somebody at the table put an item in a box. This week, it happens to be me. Is Derek D prepared for this? All right. So basically, I'm going to give you an overview, guys, of what's in the box, and then I'm going to give you 3 hints. You're going to each get to take a guess after every hint and after the overview. So you get four options. Derek, you're going to read hint number 3 when it's time.
Okay.
Don't look at it yet.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready? You know how to play? Normally, you get what's in the box, but this time you do not get what's in the box. You guys ready to play What's in the Box? Here we go. Number 1. Here we go. The overview. This item has meaning to everyone in the world. Whether its effect on you is one of monetary, sentimental or nostalgic value, this item can be described as huge, but little value, yet possessing the possibility of invaluable worth. It's of a short run. It's been known to be flipped, tossed, placed, dropped, pocketed, and exchanged over and over and over again. Scotty, you can take a little guess, ask a question, whatever you want to do to start it off. I know that's a long one.
Is it something that you carry with you on a daily basis?
In the theory of it, I would say no, it's not something you carry.
Okay.
Is it? Was it something that was part of the fashion a while ago?
Part of the fashion, like no.
No.
In the spirit of this episode, is it something related to music?
I mean, is it something that's related to music? Questionably, like I wouldn't equate it to like music and like in the way Scott is a musician and builds music from the ground up. No, I wouldn't equate it to that. It has nothing to do with music. I try to give it like 60%. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
You feel how it's going.
I'm with you.
Number 1. Here's your first hint. This object in this box can be acquired only in certain locations around the world. I was just showing the camera.
So it's light. You picked that up pretty easy.
No, I probably shouldn't have picked it up. You want to take you got a question, a hint, a guess? What do you want to throw me something?
It's not a food base, right?
It is not a food base. That is a good question. That eliminates a lot of things, like food.
Like food is off the table now. Thank you, Scotty.
Dennis! Scott, real quick, if you had to yell for Dennis, he's not in the room. You need your coffee refilled. Just out of curiosity.
Dennis!
That's
That's a good one.
That's awesome.
That's basic.
You know what? I have a tech.
I can't believe that happened.
I have a tech that subs for us, and her name is Mary, and that's my Mary.
So Mary is.
She's my Dennis.
She's your Dennis.
Yeah.
I ask everybody that sits in that chair, no matter who it is, to yell for Dennis. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I only gain access to a place with that particular item?
No.
That's a good question. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you carry it around with you wherever you go, and you only get in some parts.
You
of the
don't
world.
carry it around with you.
You don't.
But you can only get it in certain parts of the world. It is not food. It does not give you access to anything. And it's not really music based. I think that's where we're at.
Is it something based on like your identity?
Who, me specifically?
Yeah.
Like that's questionable. I would say it
So
depends
vague.
on what point of your life you.
He loves it.
I love. That's why you play the game. It depends on when you knew me, but maybe not really. Second hint.
Definitive. That was good.
I mean, I'm pretty definitive when I can give a definitive answer. Hint number 2. This item has an actual monetary value of $5 in one location, 0 in most other locations, and worth infinitely more in specific locations. Odds are everyone at this table has been in possession of one of these at some point in their life, just not this exact one.
Is it some sort of ticket of entry?
It is not.
God.
That was good, though. I like where you're going. That was good.
God.
This is my favorite part right now, because if I could be a fly on the wall to everybody listening to this podcast, this is the point where they're yelling their guesses
You think-
at the
no,
radio.
they don't have it.
They're yelling at the radio.
So it's.
I just want to tell them all that you're also wrong.
This is not a ticket. It's not food. There's nothing to do, Mike, personally. It's cost $5
Somewhere, but infinitely more
but
somewhere
infinitely
else.
more somewhere
But
else.
worthless somewhere. 5.
He went like some kind of quantum stuff.
Do you want me to give you that again? Because I'll give you that again.
We need the
if you
amazing
Yeah, read it
Kreskin
again.
here for
want. I
this.
said
one.
it has five. It has the value of $5 in one location, 0 in most others, and it's infinitely worth more in one in specific locations.
Is it recyclable?
Like if I throw it away, will it come back in the bottle? Or does
Is it recyclable?
You should have specified
Let me
because
clarify
I mean, I'll give you a hint. No, it is not recyclable, as in you throw it out on Thursday with the recyclable trash.
Okay.
But it does get used over and over again.
Is it some sort of usable? Well, is it usable tool?
It is not. It's
we
definitely
go.
not a tool. No, it's not a tool. I'm not even gonna be vague on it. It's not a tool. Here you go. Third,
You wanted to
third,
be vague, too.
Am I
third
reading
and
this?
yes,
Yeah.
third and final hint, ladies and gentlemen, read by Donald Trump.
And by the way, well, Donald or Derek has not read this.
No,
ever.
no,
I
so
don't know what I'm
cold
about
read.
to read. Okay.
Cold read.
Okay, let me tell you something, guys. Mike's an idiot. I had these back in '98, well before I was running for president. Listen, I knew they were going to be huge, just like Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, BBVDD, okay? I'm going to cash them all in and use them to build a wall. Scotty, let me tell you something. You might have played at the 10 spot in Philly. Well, these can be referred to as a 5 spot from my Marina Daddy-O. Try.
Hashtag Trump. All right.
I think I got it.
All right. Hold on. This is the point where you don't have to if you don't want to, but I don't want anybody to cheat. Take a card. Dennis, take a card. You got a card? If you have a guess and you want to write it down so we can all show them at the same time, because I don't want anybody.
I have no clue.
If you
I
feel
have
so
no
inclined,
guess.
if
No
you feel
idea.
inclined.
I have no guess.
No guess at all.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm.
So let me read this again. I knew they were going to be huge, like Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. I'm going to cash them all in and use them to build a wall. Scotty, let me tell you something. You might have played at the 10 spot in Philly. Well, these can be referred to as a 5 spot for my Marina Daddy-O.
I would like to
Well-
give my card to Scotty. So you know I'm not.
I would like to accept that card because I'm in the woods right now.
You know what it is?
I know what it is.
You know what?
How do you know what
I
it is?
actually thought of that.
Yeah?
I actually thought of that. Okay, and I was gonna. That was
That's
gonna
why
be.
I like people to write it. Yeah,
That was going to be my go-to but I was thinking like, oh, if I say this, I'm going to be really off. Okay, great.
You agree with
So
that?
I'm gonna.
I don't know what it is, but
Don't-
you're,
yeah, don't
you're
tell
so-
what it is.
I do agree with that.
All right, so
Yeah.
you're agreeing with that. So let's go the wrong way here,
Yeah.
and we're gonna go to Derek D. Derek D, what do you think? What's in the box?
Dude, I have. I was gonna say like it's a ticket.
It's
But
not a ticket. He clearly
I know,
is
but,
Scotty.
I know,
that's
okay,
that's
but-
where my head is going.
But before you go there, though,
Yeah,
I
man.
want to ask a question. Is it a specific? The thing you have, is it a specific one that has any affiliation with my job?
What am I, some kind of rookie? Of course it does.
Beautiful. I know exactly what you
When's
have.
the last time you saw one of these?
I have one.
Do you have one?
I
is
do
it a
have
$2
one.
bill?
I have
It
a
is.
$2 bill in my wallet. No, I always carry a $2
Because sometimes that
bill.
can be worth $5.
Is it from? The marina?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Right? You
Yep.
definitely know it. So he's right.
He is absolutely right.
You're completely wrong, Derek D.
It's some,
you lose.
It's a marine. It's some sort of aquatic.
It's a shark from the aquarium, and it's got a fedora on. What the hell's wrong with you? You guys want to see what's in the box?
I do.
It's in the
Yeah, I have
box.
no idea.
Yeah.
All right. Dennis, let me see your card. I even put it in a bag because I was worried. What did you say? A casino chip. Ding, 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 ding. It is a Trump Marina
Yeah.
Big Bad Voodoo
I
Daddy
have
five
one of
spot,
these.
man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I have one of these. This is great.
How great is that,
That's
dude?
super great. I know. I remember seeing this, being like, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
Now I get a Trump.
Yeah, that's why
Trump.
I wanted you to do the Trump.
that's
How sick is
awesome.
that?
Yeah, it was beautiful. I love the tie-in.
1996? No, eight.
Eight, maybe. Yeah.
Not to get too fanboy, but you know, like we were in college when that revival
This is a
happened.
great trip.
We actually met once before at the bar at that show. You guys came in from playing golf, and we were all in our suits and our shirts, and you guys actually hung out with a bunch of college kids, and you had a drink, man, before your show, and I'll never forget that. And we totally appreciated that because you didn't have to
Yeah.
stop and talk to a bunch of snot-nosed kids at the time, man.
Dennis has a little quick story too. We were going to see one of your shows, and we were getting dressed, and apparently we were on the same floor as you.
Oh, really?
And we were being a little loud. So after the show, you came out to meet us, and you said to us, you were going to come out and knock on our door and ask us to be quiet so you can get some rest before the show. And you said as soon as you saw the way we were dressed, you're like, there's no way I could tell you guys to be quiet. You're
Yeah.
coming to see
Yeah,
me.
man.
You know what's funny though is I have so much bad karma all over this country of how loud I've been in hotels that
That's a
now
nice
at this
suffering.
point when I get hammered at somebody's next door just raging, I'm like, you know what? Fair play, my friend. Let it roll.
You'll appreciate this, man. I'm in. I did a show for the New York Rangers where I hosted web series for them, and I traveled with them for the playoffs. And we were in Montreal. They're playing like traveling all over the place, back to back during the playoffs. It's nonstop, and we're in 4 seasons in Montreal. And we go out. There's this another character on the show I did. He was Jake the Ultimate Ranger, and then a couple of the crew. And we go out raging in Montreal. You know, we go to the game. The
Great city to rage, too.
Yeah, right. And the players all go home. They go to bed. They got to play a game the next day.
Yep.
We rage to the point where we come spilling out of the elevator with like 10 people bouncing in the doors, ruckus. Like, and you know, I'm just a guy. on the stick mic doing the show, I'm not really thinking, yeah, they're putting us up in the hotel where the team is. I didn't realize that we were on the floor with the team. They lose the game the next day, right? The coach goes on NHL Network and bitches about how he couldn't get any sleep. we laugh about it to this day, man. We're like, we're the reason we lost our own job, because once the playoffs are done, your show's over.
That's
you know
it.
what I mean?
Oh, jeez.
Oh man, but that's amazing, dude. What was that like when you saw that? Oh, and the wolf's on the back.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's part of the surreal experience that was happening during that time. Like it's surreal. That's all it is.
Yeah. I remember I had these, and I had a fedora, and it was in the attic of my parents' house, what used to be my bedroom. I hadn't set eyes on any of these things for 15 years or so.
Right.
And when this all came together, I'm like, I gotta go get in my parents' house and go find this. Now my bedroom has been turned into storage from all of they rent the house out now, blah blah blah. All the storage is up there. I had to like dig through everything, and I look on the shelf, I see my fedora, and I pull my fedora off the shelf, and these 3 items, the other 2 are for people listening, are stickers. And I don't know who signed it, but came flying right out of the fedora, man, and it was pretty cool. So I figured we'd play What's in the Box. Thank you for playing the game. I appreciate it.
That's your like his Stevie Wonder story.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, did you know back then that he'd be on the show? That's pretty cool. Full circle in that aspect.
All right, this show is called Pizza Beer Revolution. It's all about, pizza and the beer is what gets you in the room. It's all about the revolution of our guests, and thank you for sharing your revolution.
Great stories, man. That's
thanks,
so
guys.
awesome.
In the year 2050, before we get out of this, what is your industry going to look like? You're sitting back in your reclining chair. You're looking at music. You're looking at swing. What's it look like?
Well, in 2020, the entire music business collapses, and it picks back up where it used to be, where you actually had to have talent to be a musician. And
True, man.
people like myself who've been working their entire life to actually play and sing good music in tune, they will be prospering beautifully.
Not
So-
just auto-tune.
No, there will be no auto-tune, because there will be a strike against it, because the next generation, they're not going to have it. They're tired of dealing with fraud. So they're gonna stand
it.
they're gonna stand up. They're gonna stand up for music, and they're gonna give props to the people who carried the flag for as long as they did.
That's the best possible answer that you could give on a show called Pizza Beer Revolution.
And I love that it's 30 years earlier than 2050.
Oh, it
Sooner the better.
starts in 20. So we have 30 years to go for that next.
I like it, man.
Boom.
Scotty, thank you so much for coming out tonight, man.
My
We
pleasure.
really appreciate it. Excited to see the show tonight, too. So, break a leg, kick
Awesome.
ass.
Thanks, guys.
Anything you want to plug on the way out?
We got a new record coming out probably in September, and it's another Big Bad Voodoo Daddy record.
Nice.
It's that explicit.
Dennis.
At Dennis the Intern on Twitter, and check out Daredevil Season 2.
Derek
Yeah.
D.
Check me out at the Derek D on Twitter. And you go to DerekD.com, of
Of course you can.
Fully refreshed.
I like it. PizzaBeerRevolution.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram us. Give us some love, and we would love you back. Thank you so much for coming out, man.
My pleasure.